So I'm staying in a hotel here in Toronto, and I spent the night last night listening to that album over and over again, and it made me feel like I was in a faraway city at a really cool party, a party so cool that I would never actually ever be invited to it. And that was the album that was playing at that party. That's what it made me feel like. I even wanted to wear velvet to interview you today, but this leopard print dress was the best I could come up with out of my suitcase. So if I had my druthers, I'd be draped in purple velvet. Hannah, Hey Now mimics the trajectory of the band's career, really, in a sense. I mean, one day you guys just added a song to the web, and now it's being used in Christian Dior's J'adore campaign with Charlize Theron. What's this past year and a half been like?
It's been amazing. It's been a lot of being away from home. That's kind of the main thing. I mean, when we go home, things are exactly the same. So apart from just the number of shows we've been playing and the size of the crowds on occasion, it's just been great.
When you're not home, are you running into a lot of instant recognition?
Not really. It depends where we are. But we tend to go under the radar, I think, just because, I don't know, we're quite sort of dressed down, laid back kind of. Actually, the boys get recognised, I think, quite a lot because they're quite distinctive with their different hair. And
that is true. They have very good hair, both of them.
Don't they? Yeah.
Dot, how do you feel about the well-deserved but very quick success?
Well, thank you. It's good. It's been great. It's actually been really good in Canada. The first 2 tours we did in North America, the biggest shows were actually always in Canada. So it's really good to be back here, and it's just nice to be on the road again. It's been a while.
And the fact that it kind of happened so quick, do you feel like you had time to get your legs under you?
Not really, actually. When we were starting out, it was all a bit of a shock because when you're in a new band, especially, you can't really know what's going to happen, so you just end up saying yes to a lot of stuff, and then it was quite crazy for a while. But I think we're kind of more stable now.
He's saying he's more stable, but listener, he's got quite a wild haircut, and I can tell you from the pre-interview chat, I'm not sure stability is what he's really trying to push for. And speaking of such instabilities, I actually heard a rumor, Dan, that the band actually revolved around you creeping Hannah on Facebook. Is that true or not?
No, it's entirely false, really. That's all I'll
It's
say
actually
about that.
it's completely the other way around in a way.
I love how when you have an English accent and you say that's completely false, it just sounds so like this is a fact. Tell us the story of how the band came together.
Hannah was about to say that actually she was the one who was creeping on me slightly more. But we kind of became friends whilst we were at university. But the story of me adding her on Facebook makes me sound creepy, and the way I'm now saying it makes me sound creepy. But in reality, it was perfectly harmless, and
we were already friends.
We were already friends.
It was mutual Facebook.
Don't believe it.
Was the creepage, was it a musical creepage, or have you two actually dated? Or
No, it's totally,
creepage.
It was total creepage. No, I date Hannah's best friend, one of her best friends, so
okay.
There's no...
I lived with his girlfriend at university.
So
she's actually, in a way, responsible for the band being together, in a way.
So how did you come in?
Creepage, I suppose.
Yeah.
Through Lara as well.
Yeah. I think my girlfriend actually kind of, fancied Dot a little bit.
Okay.
And she sort of told me, I've met this drummer, which, initially I was slightly upset about. But then, upon meeting Dot and, hearing him play drums and then we started playing together and then, it just sort of naturally happened and we played gigs like that. I think the first time actually Dot even played with us as a trio was a gig. We just did it, and that was it. And that was whilst we were in our mine and Hannah's final year of university, and that was the beginning.
And then you realize you didn't need to creep anymore.
Yeah.
Hey Now is also a great example of the sound of the album. The words clean, minimal, free of flourish are often used. Why was that aesthetic what you were drawn to, Dan?
I think it became the aesthetic over time, just through experimentation, and sort of working with different people, producers that is. But it kind of just ended up being a natural thing that felt the right thing to do, because Hannah's voice needed this sort of sparseness really to because it has that ability to shine so much. We just felt that having the music as sparse as possible was the right thing to do, and we've always just sort of relied on space in the music and seen that as a really important thing to have, and that's kind of been when we figured that out with Hey Now, that became the basis for the whole record.
It's minimalist, but it's so very lush. The sound of the music behind that haunting voice, it really is a magical combination when it comes together. I read that the minimal sound was actually the one thing that all three of you agreed on when you were making the album. How hard is it to work collaboratively when you have three different people coming from three different places trying to put it together?
Yeah, that's I suppose that's just the essence of being in a band, and you have to learn that the chemistry between you and everything. It's such a learning process, and I think that obviously there are disagreements sometimes, but that's also what makes songs special. I think sometimes when there's disagreements about stuff, and we all have different influences, and sometimes the moments like that, they come out of, I suppose, tension, and it's nice to be in a band. I think it takes some of the pressure off in a way, because when you trust and rely on each other, then you can just, if someone believes in something, then you can go with what they think.
Yeah, and you have somebody to share the highs with and help you through the lows, as opposed to when you're doing it on your own. I read, Hannah, that you actually got a little bit of advice from Coldplay's Chris Martin on how to work together in a band. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, he said it to all three of us. He said something very poetic, obviously. It was something like there had to be tension in a violin string for it to make a beautiful sound. So he was like, being in a band is fine. If you found it difficult making your first album, it's a good thing, and something like that. It's kind of a blur, to be honest.
Sage advice, and how amazing is it to get advice from someone like him on your first album?
Yeah, really, really
Just
amazing.
sitting around having a cup of tea, getting some great advice. And I understand, Hannah, too, that you're the songwriter, and the lyrics are so personal and introspective. And now your album, of course, is charted in the top 10 on the UK. So you're writing a song like, especially what we just heard, and I can feel the plaintiveness in your voice about that flame by your bed. And now all of a sudden, the entire planet is listening to those words. How does that feel for you?
You just block it out. You just don't think about it at all. That people are. I don't think that people sit there and analyze the lyrics. I'm sure they'll just take what they want from it, and then you just you don't feel embarrassed by it.
Do you feel exposed or vulnerable by it in any way?
Not really. People listening to it, on a CD, but I feel a bit exposed on stage, singing them in front of people. Only sometimes. I think you get used to it.
Yeah, I read too that that you do sometimes deal with some nerves on stage. And for me, as a performing comic, about 3 minutes before I go out, I'm convinced I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Absolutely convinced. Every time. It's been almost 20 years. Every time I'm sure I'm going to throw up. But once I hit my first joke, then I kind of slide down into it and I get comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you have that experience, or are your nerves carrying you throughout that performance?
It kind of depends on the day. So sometimes I hit the first note and then I'm fine and I have a good show, and then sometimes it's throughout the entire show. But it is funny because I have that same feeling before, where you start to say to yourself, like, why do I put myself through this every single time? Like, I can just run out the back door.
Yes.
But yeah, you still do it. So
because afterwards it feels so great.
yeah.
Do you think your nerves are in any way connected to the fact that, you didn't have a 10-year run of, okay, I'm playing in front of 10 people, now I'm playing in front of 30 people, now it's like I'm playing in front of 10 people, now I'm playing in front of the world. You jumped a few steps there. Do you think the nerves might be related to that? Or do you think it's just a part of your personal makeup?
I think it's both. I think I was quite an inexperienced performer. And also I just think that, like our music, which is quite introverted and quite personal, I'm the kind of person that I wrote music for myself rather than having an idea of doing it in front of people. That always really scared me. And I think that a lot of musicians tend to be those people. I think it's quite natural.
So it's kind of a personal gift, but it just comes through you for the rest of us. For the rest of us to enjoy. Dan, with a lot of buzz comes a lot of expectation. For instance, you were tapped to win the 2013 Mercury Prize, even though you apparently weren't even eligible for it based on the release date of your album. Now, London Grammar didn't win. How do you temper all that hype and expectation, with your own internal expectations?
Well, that was we were in fact actually eligible by a week. I think we were actually eligible, and it was a bizarre situation where we'd been tipped by bookies as the favourites to win the award, and we hadn't been nominated, and we weren't subsequently nominated at all, so we didn't even make the shortlist. Which was a weird experience at the time because it just. But I mean, in reality, we got probably more press from the fact that we weren't nominated, but the bookies' favourites. Than we probably would have done from actually winning the thing. But I don't know. I think with all these things, we just tried not to, worry about it too. Obviously, behind closed doors, you worry about these things, and especially me, because I just worry about everything all the time. But I just think I don't know. I guess we've just always stuck together and just dealt with these things in sort of the most rational way possible, which isn't always the case. But with that thing in particular, it was just one of them.
What are the things that you're worrying about right now?
I'm not worrying about anything specifically, mainly just not swearing on air, and but no, I'm calm and I feel happy now.
I figured you wouldn't be worried in the interview because, Mama's got you. You're okay.
Yeah.
But just in general at this point in your career where, this tour, anything that's bothering you or worrying you at this point?
In general life.
Show tonight, maybe.
Yeah, we've got a show tonight that and we haven't played in a while, so I think that there's always that just worry of wanting to be good and wanting to play well. But I'm trying to just not worry so much anyway.
That's good
Nowadays.
advice. You'll live longer if you don't worry too much.
I've realised that now. Yeah.
And I hear that the band has had to cancel a few shows due to exhaustion. And I read a quote where you said, you guys are just learning how to know when to say no. How hard is that to know when, how much juice you've got and when you have to just say, we can't go any further?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot because you always want to do the show and you're so grateful for everyone that has bought into your music and bought the album. You want to do the best that you can, so you actually tend to push yourself far beyond your limit anyway, touring. But it got to a point where it was affecting my voice and I had quite bad muscular strain.
Oh.
So I had to just as a band, we were like, the best thing for us to do, we want longevity. And I think that we had to cancel a few shows in Australia and then, move this tour actually for a number of reasons. But, but it's all good now.
So when you make that decision, do you get a lot of pushback? Like, are your people around you trying to tell you to keep on going, or do people respect the fact that you're saying, "Look, we have to cancel"?
No, not at all. I think you push yourself as a band. I think as well. You always want to go and meet the people that are coming to the show. So you just tend to kind of slightly just do it yourself a bit maybe.
Sure.
And then you need to learn how to just to say no and know your limits and it's all good now.
Nancy Reagan taught us that years ago. Just say no. Just say no. Dot, I understand a second album's in the works. What can we expect? Will it stray from the first one?
We don't entirely really know yet. We've been writing and it's great to be back in the studio again. It kind of reminds you obviously why we did it in the first place, and it's been a while. But I think we've yet to really explore exactly what it will be like. But we feel happy and comfortable writing again, and it's the best thing, so we'll see.
I cannot wait to hear it. You're a band with a sound that has no borders, and I'm so happy that you were able to take a little bit of time today and come in and chat with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, before I let you zip away and get ready for that show tonight, will you do one more song before you leave?
Yes.
What's that going to be?
Wasting My Young Years.
All right.